Welcome back to my hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Emerald using only single stage Pokémon. In the last episode, we pretty much demolished the entire early game with our starter Castform and our first encounter of the run, Sableye. Roxanne and Brawly really never stood a chance, but that's kind of what I was expecting from this challenge. The challenges ahead are looking much more difficult though, and I'm ready to start playing around with some new Pokémon. Still on the first attempt and looking good. Rival 3 and Watson are up next. Let's do this. Starting off episode 2 with a new encounter. Route 110 will allow us to add either Plusle or Minun to the team, although very likely Minun because Plusle only has a 1% chance to appear. And as expected, we do get the Minun. The differences between these two are pretty small, with their stats being distributed slightly differently and with one of their supporting move slots being different as well. Minun gets Charm while Plusle gets Fake Tears. Between those two options, I think I prefer Fake Tears overall just a little bit more, especially in Emerald. Most of the scarier fights in the game utilize specially bulky Pokemon more often, other than maybe Norman and Winona. But like I said, the differences aren't all that crazy, and both are great pickups. In addition to Charm, Minun has access to other great support options like Thunder Wave and Encore. He's got great speed, some surprisingly decent special bulk, and passable offenses as well. Thunderbolt will still hit things pretty damn hard regardless of who uses it. I take care of some more training on Route 110 now that we have our new team member, and then Professor Birch swoops in to impede our progress and forcefully extract our phone number from us. Like father, like daughter, I guess. With everyone on the team trained up, it's time for Rival 3 and the first team review of the series. Manning the front lines on this one is our newest team member, Minun. I had to level Minun all the way up to the level cap in order to ensure that Spark would kill Lombre in 2 hits. I'm trying to keep him as healthy as possible just in case I need to use him for Slugma later on in the fight, because it very well might come down to Castform and Sableye together bringing that Marshtomp down. Castform is up next, and I'll be switching him into Marshtomp after Lombre goes down. I'll set up Rain Dance and then use Water Gun until I can no longer take any more damage. I'll most likely have to risk a crit there, there's just no way around it unfortunately. If Marshtomp decides to go for Bide instead, I can get some free damage in and then switch into Sableye who will be immune to the attack. That would be the best case scenario. In either case, Sableye will hopefully be able to finish off the job. Slugma will be handled by whoever is the healthiest. Castform would be the best because a Rain Dance boosted Water Gun should one-shot it, but I could very well have to use Minun instead if Castform is too low. I feel like I always have to take bigger risks in this fight, it's always so close, but I guess that's Rival 3 for you. Let's get into it. I lead with Minun and I get a crit with Spark right off the bat, bringing down Lombre. Huge start to this fight and a very big confidence booster for me. Marshtomp comes in and I switch into Castform. I take a Mud Shot on the switch as expected and my speed drops. I then set up Rain Dance as Marshtomp goes for another Mud Shot. This time though, my speed is brought low enough to where I'm now slower. Normally, this isn't usually a good thing, but it would appear that Marshtomp's AI is actually very similar to Roxanne's Nose Pass, in that it won't use Mud Shot after it has surpassed your Pokemon in speed. Can anyone confirm if this happens all of the time, or if this is just a coincidence? I mean, even though it's raining, Mudshot is definitely still a superior option here, right? I guess Bide's damage may be theoretically more if it were to go off if I landed 2 more Water Guns, but man, that puts me in a phenomenal position. All I have to do is switch into Sableye on the turn in which Marshtomp releases his built-up energy, and boom. Nothing happens. So much extra free damage from Castform without taking any more damage myself. And now that Sableye is out, I can finish this Marshtomp off with a single Nightshade. Barring any sort of crazy crit streak, this one should be in the bag. Slugma comes out and I keep Sableye in to take him down. It only takes 2 Nightshades to do so, and Rival 3 is done. Definitely the most difficult challenge so far, but we'll have to see what Watson has for us. I just had a quick realization about Rival 3 that I hadn't thought of before. For how difficult and notorious this fight is, the reward you get for it is pretty lackluster. I mean, I guess I shouldn't just expect to get a reward from our rival every single time that we face them, even though that is kind of what happens most of the time. Anyone else use the item finder? If you didn't use a guide at all back then, I suppose it could be worth something, but even before the internet, I feel like it wasn't that difficult to find most of the hidden items in this game. Even if you skip over some of the items, it's not like you're missing much anyway. Just a random thought I had. I finally made it to Mauville City, which always just feels nice. My Pokemon are pretty close to the level cap, so I can't fight too many trainers just yet, but I can pick up all the usual items around town and pick up our next encounter on Route 117, Illumise. Well, at least most likely Illumise. There is a 1% chance to get Volbeat as well, but that likely won't happen. And it doesn't. Illumise is another Pokemon that gets a really bad rap, and honestly, after getting to play with one in my Purple Pokemon only run, it's not that bad. It will definitely fall off as the game progresses, but for something that you could use right now, especially on some of the scarier random trainers up north, it works just fine. Mostly used as a charm/encore user, but it can get some coverage like Thunderbolt, for example. Now again, since I'm close to the level cap with most of my Pokemon, all I can do right now is level up my Illumise and begin preparations for Watson. I'll be doing this primarily in Whismur Cave just to give him some extra HP EVs while I train. It's not like Illumise can really deal a whole lot of damage to anything else anyway, so alright, let me handle this real quick and then we can hop straight into the team review for Watson. I'm leading the charge with Sableye. I'll use him to take out Voltorb and then deal as much damage as I possibly can after that to Electrike when he comes out. Although I'm not very confident that he could take Electrike down as well unless Watson decides to use Howl for some reason. Minun is going to finish off Electrike if needed, and then he'll be responsible for Thunder Waving both Magneton and Manectric. That is definitely his primary job for this fight. Any advantage I can get on those two will be important. Castform is up next and he'll be bringing down Magneton with a couple of sun boosted Embers. I'm really hoping that Magneton will go for a Thunder Wave or Sonic Boom during this fight, so I can maybe stay healthy enough to get an attack off on Manectric as well. Manectric is going to be the biggest problem for this run for sure, and I'm going to attempt to paralyze him with Minun and then switch into Illumise to attempt to take away the Citrus Berry. From there, it's just a combination of whatever Pokemon I have left that are healthy enough to bring Watson down. This is definitely going to be the most uncertain part of the fight, and I'm really hoping I can get some paralysis procs to work in our favor here. Another series, another Watson fight. Let's do this. I open up with Sableye, get a free hit in with Fake Out, and then start going for the Nightshades. Shockwave does a little bit less damage than I was expecting, which is great. And a second Nightshade from Sableye brings the Pokeball down. Watson then sends in his Electrike as usual, and I have Sableye throw out some more Nightshades. Electrike goes for Howl right off the bat, which is so strange to me, but you're not going to catch me complaining about it. Nightshade appears to have dealt exactly 50% of Electrike's HP, but after another Nightshade, it looks like we were just off the mark there. If I had trained Sableye up to the very tippy top of level 24, I could have gained another level off of Voltorb, and that would have been enough to two-shot this Electrike. But honestly, this forces Watson to blow a potion on what is absolutely his worst Pokemon. That might actually make the difference in this fight. After a couple more Nightshades, Electrike is back down to 1 HP, and I decide to keep Sableye in and finish the job. I'm not going to be able to use him again with how low his HP is anyway, and I also didn't want to risk Watson using another Super Potion after I switch into Minun, because taking down Electrike with Minun is obviously much more difficult and wasteful. I don't get crit, and Electrike goes down. Magneton now comes out, and I know this is going to be a Shockwave, so I switch into Minun. Minun takes the hit like a champ and then goes for a Thunder Wave to hopefully make things a lot more difficult for this Magneton. It also just guarantees that we are faster moving forward as long as we aren't paralyzed ourselves. Magneton comes back with a Thunder Wave of his own, but we remove the paralysis with a Cherry Berry. Now that we're all set up here, it's time to switch into cast form to bring this thing down. Getting any sort of paralysis proc here would be super huge for us. Magneton goes for Thunder Wave again, and cast form shakes it off with a Cherry Berry of his own. The Sunny Day comes out, and now our Embers should easily KO Magneton with 2 hits. We get a paralysis proc on Magneton, which is amazing considering we are still at full health, but on the next turn we do finally get paralyzed. As it turns out though, cast form is still faster than Magneton even with paralysis, and a final Ember brings Magneton down. We are in very good shape right now overall, but I have a feeling I'll need one more little thing. Just one more thing to go our way for this Manectric. I need another paralysis proc, or for him to use Howl or something like that. I'm pretty sure Watson can only use one more potion at this point, so that's something I'll have to consider as well. After Castform and Sableye level up, Manectric hits us with a pretty meaty Shockwave, and we go for Ember. The Ember lands and we get the burn. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That is the one thing we needed to go our way. At this point, I thought about staying in just to get as much damage off as possible, but then I thought about that Citrus Berry. I know Manectric will get hit with burn damage after this turn, but is that enough to drop him into berry range? I don't know, but I decided to take a chance with Illumise right now instead, and hope that the door hasn't closed on us yet, stealing that Citrus Berry. The tick of burn damage goes off, and no Citrus Berry. Illumise uses Thief next turn and nabs it. We get paralyzed in the process, but it was totally worth it. At this point, knowing that Watson is going to use a Super Potion on the next turn, I switch into Cast Form to see if I can just get one more attack out of him. This is really the only way that I can potentially preserve my entire team, but if I absolutely have to, I will sacrifice Illumise. The potion comes out, and then I go for one more Ember. But unfortunately, we're the ones paralyzed now. Still, at least it's another tick of burn damage, and we didn't get crit. I switch into Minun now to bring this one home. Not only does Shockwave not deal a whole lot of damage, but the burn also reduces the damage of Manectric's quick attack by 50% as well. Now it's just a race. Shockwave versus Spark. After a few more, Manectric goes down with one final tick of burn, and Watson is finished. We are awarded with the third gym badge of the run, and as always, defeating Watson really opens up the Hoenn region, and we have a lot of great stuff coming up now. And with that, this episode is now over. Even though our team got beat up to all hell, I'm very happy with what we've got right now, and the first attempt remains deathless. In the next episode, we've got a whole lot of new encounters to pick up and play around with Maxie and Flannery on deck. Although, we'll see if we can get that far with how much content there is between now and then. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.